Richard Matthews adjusted the worn baseball cap on his head, checking his reflection in the side mirror of his Honda Civic. Gone was the custom-tailored suit and Rolex. In their place sat a middle-aged man in faded jeans, a gray hoodie, and scuffed sneakers. Day-S CEO of Golden Griddle Diners, a chain of 127 restaurants across the Midwest. Richard had built his empire from a single location his grandfather opened in 1952. But he'd lost touch with the people who made it run. Recent drops in employee satisfaction and anonymous complaints had pushed him to take this unconventional step. The bell chimed as Richard entered the Oakdale location. "Sit anywhere you'd like, Han," called out a waitress. Her name tag read Dorothy, 15 years with the company. He noticed the tired lines around her eyes. Richard chose a corner booth. "I'll take a beef sandwich, medium, with fries and coffee black." When Dorothy returned with his order, her face lit up. "We take good care of our regulars here. That's how Mr. Matthews would want it." "Well, I assume. Can't say I've ever met the man personally." Richard nearly choked on his coffee. As Dorothy moved away, he noticed her stopping where two younger waitresses were counting tips. Their hushed conversation caught his attention. "I swear it's getting worse every week," one whispered. Her name tag read Jessica. "That table left me $20, but my envelope only had 15. Maria nodded grimly. "Same thing Tuesday. That businessman handed me $25, but somehow only 18 made it into my pocket." Richard's hand froze. Golden Griddle's policy was clear. Tips belonged entirely to servers. "Do you think someone's taking money from the register?" Jessica asked. "No, it's the tip pools. Dorothy mentioned it last week." Maria glanced around nervously. "I think management is taking a cut under the table." The regional manager was David Chin, a man Richard had promoted himself 3 years ago. "But that's illegal, isn't it?" Jessica's voice carried desperation. "I need every dollar. My daughter's daycare costs are going up. Of course it's illegal. But what are we going to do? Complain to corporate? They'll just cut our hours. Jobs like this aren't easy to find." Richard sat in stunned silence. These women had dedicated years to his restaurant, and someone he trusted was stealing from them. He needed proof. As he paid his bill, leaving a generous tip directly in Dorothy's hand, Richard made a silent promise. Whatever was happening, it was going to stop. Over the next 2 weeks, Richard became a fixture at the diner, rotating disguises and gathering evidence. He documented the pattern. Tips were being skimmed at 15% across all servers. He expanded his investigation to other locations. The pattern was identical everywhere. He hired a private investigator who called with explosive news. "David Chin has 3 different bank accounts under variations of his name," Margaret said. "The deposits match your timeline." "But Richard, he's been doing this before." His previous employer closed 2 locations due to unexplained financial irregularities after he left. "How much total? Conservative estimate?" "Nearly $500,000 over 2 years. And your COO, Patricia Williams, signed off on several suspicious vendor contracts." Richard's phone rang. David Chin's number. "Richard, I wanted to discuss the quarterly performance reviews. The numbers are looking exceptional." The arrogance in David's voice filled Richard with cold fury. "Actually, David, let's meet in person. 2 o'clock. Oakdale location. Bring your district financial reports. All of them." At 1:45 p.m., Richard sat in his corner booth wearing his disguise one final time. The manila folder beside him contained bank records and witness testimonies. A recording device captured everything. Dorothy approached. "Your regular spot." "Actually, Dorothy, I'm meeting someone today. But first, that money you've been missing from your tips, the equipment maintenance fees, it's all going to stop today." Dorothy's face went pale. I'm not sure what you mean. You don't have to pretend anymore. I know what's been happening, and I'm going to fix it." David Chin walked through the door in his expensive suit. "You must be the gentleman I'm meeting about district performance." Richard stood and removed his baseball cap, looking directly into David's eyes. The recognition was instant. David's face went ashen. "Mr. Matthews, what are you doing here? Like a regular customer? Someone you'd never notice while you were stealing from my employees." Richard's voice carried across the suddenly silent dining room. "David Chin has stolen over $300,000 in tips from servers across his district." The dining room erupted. Jessica dropped her order pad, tears streaming. "That's just the tips," Richard continued. "The supplier kickbacks, the fraudulent expense reports. We're looking at nearly $500,000 in total theft. David tried to recover. Mr. Matthews, there's been a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding. I have bank records showing 3 separate accounts. I have documented evidence of your 15% tip skimming system. I even know this isn't your first time. 2 police officers entered. David Chun, you're under arrest for grand theft, fraud, and conspiracy to commit financial crimes. As David was led away in handcuffs, Richard turned to his employees. Every penny will be returned. Every server who was cheated will receive full restitution with interest. New management oversight starts immediately, and I will never again be so removed from your daily reality that something like this could happen. Dorothy stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Mr. Matthews, we thought you didn't care about us. You're not little people, Dorothy. You're the heart of this company. Richard's voice broke slightly. I'm sorry. It took a disguise for me to see what was really happening. Over the following weeks, Richard instituted sweeping changes. The restitution checks totaled over $400,000, returning stolen wages to more than 60 employees. David Chin pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. But for Richard, the real victory was in Dorothy's smile when she received her first full, honest paycheck in 2 years, and in Jessica's relief when she could finally afford her daughter's school supplies without worry. Golden Griddle had weathered the storm and emerged stronger, more committed than ever to treating its employees with the dignity and respect they deserved.